We will introduce our guest speaker. Give me the photo.
Good evening, everybody. Members of the high table, distinguished guests, special invitees. This movement has been charged with the responsibility to introduce the guest speaker for this occasion. Our guest speaker hails from Gladiator Zagreb Muslim Clan and Yamir Muslim Statutory District in Nema County, Liberia, West Africa. He was born on August 6, 1956, onto the union of the late teacher Wilfred K. Gongloe and Vonnie Elizabeth Gongloe. He graduated from the University of Liberia in 1981 with a BSc in economics. He is a member of the class of 1987 of the Louis Arthur Graham School of Law at the University of Liberia. Our guest speaker was the first Liberian to obtain a certificate in human rights advocacy from Columbia University in the city of New York, United States of America in 1990. In 2004 and 2005, he was a fellow at Harvard University. From 2006 to 2009, he served as Solicitor General of the Republic of Liberia, and also from 2009 to 2010 as Minister of Labor. He resigned from the government because of policy differences with former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and while in his private service, he was appointed by the former president in April 2011 to chair a special committee established to investigate the March 22nd, 2011 police brutality against students of the G.W. Gibson High School and Tedman High School. Unfortunately, the recommendations of the special committee were not implemented because they were considered too harsh. Over the years, he has written a lot on human rights and government issues, primarily focusing on Liberia, the most being African Human Rights Day and International Human Rights Day. He is a campaigner for free speech, and when he became Solicitor General of Liberia, he shut down the underground cell at the Ministry of Justice, where journalists and political activists were often detained. On his first day in office in 2009, he submitted to former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf a draft bill for the repeal of sedition, criminal malevolence, and criminal libel against the president, the three laws that had curtailed free speech for decades in Liberia. In terms of international experience, our guest speaker was a member of the United Nations Observer Mission in South Africa in 1994. And in 2005, he served as an editorial consultant for the Cllr Center in Ethiopia. Our dynamic guest speaker is an international human rights award winner with awards from Human Rights Watch based in New York, USA, and a Philip Render Institute based in Washington, D.C. He is also a notable author, and over the years, he has published the following. In 2005, he wrote on the impunity is threat to freedom, a piece of article with General Romeo Dalian, former commander of the UN peacekeeping troops in Rwanda. Also, in 1998, he published a booklet that the Media Foundation for West Africa and Liberia, and this publication highlighted the campaign for decriminalizing free speech in West Africa. In our own Liberia, his experience with the doctrine of separation of powers, an essay was published in Democracy Watch Journal in 2000. Our guest speaker is presently the president of the Liberia National Bar Association and a managing partner of the Gongloe and Associates Incorporated. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I have the distinct honor to present to you tonight our tough-talking, prolific, authoritative guest speaker, Cllr.Tiawon Gongloe.
These are your seats. The outgoing and newly inducted president, the members of the Association of Liberian Journalists of the Americas, Ambassador Patton, and other members of the government of Liberia here present, Sylvia Elliott, and other members of the United States government here present, representatives of the Press Union of Liberia, if there's any present, other Liberian-based professional and civil society organizations, representatives of other United States-based professional and civil society organizations. And let me recognize Dr. Alja and the Secretary General of the Liberian National Bar Association, who himself is a journalist, Councilor Bobby Livingstone, other distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I bring you greetings from the oldest republic on the African continent, the Republic of Liberia, the country bequeathed to us by our forefathers and foremothers of diverse origins and backgrounds, united in a claim that the country founded on the hope of freedom and equality of all human beings belongs to all citizens equally and determined to resist the marginalization of any group of citizens on the basis of the status of birth as a male or female, family origin, creed, language, or any other identity. All of us, Liberians, both at home and abroad, cherish the hope that we can honestly say without any fear of the slightest contradiction that we are citizens of a great country. In this dream, all Liberians are united in a hope that all Liberians, especially those who are elected or appointed to positions of trust, will put the interest of Liberia first, above personal interest or family interest, because it is only by placing our country first that we can build a better Liberia that is peaceful, progressive, productive, and prosperous. In this kind of Liberia, peace will always be sustained by Liberians who have the basic minimum of regular meals, decent shelters, good medical care, good schools for their children, good road networks for freedom of movement, tolerance and respect, as well as protection of the differences of views privately and publicly expressed, and leaders who govern based on the interest, will, wishes, and aspirations of the people as expressed by their votes and free expressions. Liberia is a country that is unique in this dream for democracy and respect for human rights, not only because its forefathers were motivated by the desire to govern themselves and serve as a beacon of hope for all oppressed people of color, as well as the fact that it is called Liberia, the land of liberty. But also, Liberians are connected by one word that shows that the holding of a point of view is an inherent part of being a Liberian. My research has revealed to me that the word ke or care means the same in the Kwa languages, the Mende languages, and the male languages of Liberia. Ke or care means but in every existing Liberian language. Am I wrong? This means that even if a Liberian agrees with another Liberian's point of view, he will always give a concurrent opinion. Therefore, to have a point of view on every issue is an inherent and natural part of being a Liberian. To disagree or not to accept everything at face value is a natural part of being a Liberian citizen. It is important for Liberian political leaders to understand this inherent characteristic of being a Liberian. I also bring you greetings from the Liberian National Bar Association, the oldest bar association on the African continent, and the oldest professional organization in Liberia, having been established in 1907. The LNBA is in solidarity with the Liberian people in their collective dreams and aspirations to make Liberia a better country. The LNBA also considers its role in the realization of the Liberian dream to be playing a leading role in promoting adherence to the rule of law and respect for the human rights of all Liberians. The LNBA is aware that lawyers cannot perform in chaos Therefore, lawyers know that they must do everything professionally to sustain the peace through the promotion of hearings to adhering to the rule of law. The journalists of Liberia over the years have played a meaningful role in the general effort to attain, maintain, and sustain peace and democracy in Liberia. By their investigative reporting, they have over the years exposed the ills of society, largely committed by Liberians in positions of trust. During the military rule, and it's a breaking news, then the media should keep the public informed about events connected to the story as they unfold. The obligation to report the truth, especially about the actions of government officials, is a fulfillment of the right of the people to know about their government and its functionaries as provided under Article 15C of the Constitution of Liberia. This article provides, among other things, quote, there shall be no limitation on the public right to be informed about the government and its functionaries, unquote. In other words, the people have a right to know about their government and its functionaries, and the media has an obligation to inform the people about the truth of what their government and its functionaries do. The Liberian media now has no excuse for not reporting the truth about the government and its functionaries, because the laws that criminalize free speech in Liberia have been repealed. Last year, President George Weah spearheaded the repeal of sedition, criminal malevolence, and criminal libel against the president. These were the laws that made it difficult over the years for Liberians to speak and write freely about their government and its functionaries. These laws do not exist anymore. Sometimes when I hear threats by officials of government about criminal actions for comments in the media about government that they don't like, I wonder whether they know that there is no law anymore in Liberia that criminalizes speech. Just to digress a little bit, I think 2 days ago, you followed the demonstrations in Monrovia by women. And it was because a young lady called Justina Taylor, whom the bar visited at the Cllr Hospital, had said some things about the president and other officials of government, and she had overnight been abducted and raped by 3 men, some of whom, according to her, she believed to come from government sources. Part of her spinal cord was broken in the act. I know this because she told us, me and the vice president of the bar would visit her, and Costa and others had raised some funds to bring her to America for her to undergo treatment. And 2 days ago was the last day for her to appear for visa interview. And the police said she would not go they would not allow her to go to the American embassy because she has some questions to answer when she comes from the hospital for things she said about the government. So I wonder, so if they asked her, what were they going to do? When the speech has been decriminalized, what were they going to charge her with? So it appears that the government, some people in the government do not know the great thing that the president did by causing the repeal of the 3 laws that stifle free speech. They probably need some education there. Another law that has created an enabling atmosphere for the media to report the truth is the Freedom of Information Act. This law places an obligation on those in the public service and the private sector who possess information that are of public interest to disclose them when requested to do so by journalists and others engaged in advocacy, research, and reporting, except for information regarding national security, diplomacy, and trade secrets. Given that the media no more has any legal constraint in reporting the truth, journalists should exert all efforts to get to the bottom of every story and not to rush to report a story without conducting full investigation. The harm that may be done by not reporting a full story is greater in my view than the harm that may be done by any delay in reporting a story. The obligation to report the truth is not restricted to the private media, but also the government media. Government media entities should resist all temptations to give false information to the public, because such conduct undermines the integrity of the government media and the credibility of any information that emanates from government sources. In addition to the commitment to report the truth, the Liberian media should publish the truth in decent words. In other words, the media should avoid using insulting words and disparaging language about newsmakers. Such manner of reporting, in my view, undermines the truth and undermines the truth of what is being reported. Like falsehood, disparaging language tend to undermine the integrity of the media and to discourage the public about the media. One cardinal consideration in this regard is the children. Children must be protected from learning to use indecent words through the media. This appeal for decency in the use of the media goes to all users of the mass media, including the independent press, the government press, and supporters as well as non-supporters of government who use the media. My plea tonight, therefore, as someone who has over the years provided legal services to so many journalists, I see one of them sitting before me, and media institutions, before law enforcement institutions and the courts, is that the media should always report the truth and do so in decent words. This is the role that the Liberian media must play in sustaining peace and democracy in Liberia. The Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, many of whose members are not engaged in the active practice of journalism anymore, should undertake initiatives to assist active partisan journalists to remain committed to reporting the truth in Liberia. I suggest that Alja engage in raising funds to support active partisan journalists and the media institutions they work with in Liberia. I'm suggesting two objectives for such funds. One, Alja should be ready to support the legal defense of journalists and media institutions whenever they get into trouble for performing their duties. Two, Alja should encourage journalists on the ground and media institutions that report the truth and in decent words by giving them awards for doing what is right. The Liberian National Bar Association, under our administration, will remain a committed partner of the Press Union of Liberia and all actors in the media, including the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas and users of the social media in the collective struggle of the Liberian people for sustaining peace and democracy in Liberia. Over the years, the Liberian National Bar Association has been promoting adherence to the rule of law in various ways. This administration of the Liberian National Bar Association has made a clear commitment to provide general counsel to the government of Liberia, the civil society, and the business community on the adherence to the rule of law and respect for human rights. Let me highlight a few things that the LNBA has done in this regard. We provided legal advice for members of the civil society who demonstrated for accountability for the missing $16 billion Liberian and the June 7 demonstration by cautioning the organizers of the demonstrations to conduct themselves peacefully. We also cautioned government of its commitment, of its legal obligation, to protect the demonstrators. And the result was that there was not a single incident of violence. Early this year, the Liberian National Bar Association, at its 2019 assembly held in Cllr.Tiawon County, unanimously voted to support the full implementation of the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, including the establishment of the Extraordinary Tribunal for War and Economic Crimes. Subsequently, the LNBA produced a draft bill for the establishment of the tribunal through a special committee of 5 lawyers, chaired by Councillor Dr. Jala Babo, an eminent Liberian jurist. Please stand up. The draft has been subjected to a rigorous review by legal scholars in Europe and the United States, amongst others, and representatives of the civil society, and the final draft will soon be completed for submission to the legislature. Currently, the LNBA is engaged in providing free legal services to the indigent, especially those in pretrial detention, through the Legal Aid Committee headed by Councillor Joyce Reyes-Woods. And the committee has done a great job in releasing so many prisoners from pretrial detention. The work of the Legal Aid Committee is supported by the USAID through its Legal Assistance and Anti-Corruption Program, LPAC, implemented by Krayee Consulting Incorporated. The Legal Aid Committee is also collaborating with the Carter Center on legal aid to the poor. Additionally, the LNBA, with the support of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, just completed a project under the name Justice First. The focus of the project was on the creation of community awareness on the Constitution, statute laws of Liberia, human rights, and the procedures for gaining access to justice. It was executed under the chairmanship of Councillor Finney Kanga. Based on the quality of work that the LNB is currently doing in Liberia, its profile has been raised so high that it has inspired the confidence of the African Bar Association to be chosen as host of the 2019 Annual Conference of the African Bar Association. The request of the African National Bar Association to the LNBA to host a conference was made when the AFBAR annual conference could not be held in Cairo, Egypt, due to the difficulties experienced by delegates in obtaining visas to enter Egypt. With the support of the government of Liberia, the LMBA accepted to host the conference. Currently, the government has promised to grant gratis airport visas to all delegates coming for the African Bar Annual Conference upon arrival in Liberia. The government has also placed at the disposal of the LMBA the conference hall of the ministerial complex for the 2019 conference of the Alja. I want to publicly thank the government of Liberia for assisting the LMBA to host the 2019 annual conference of the African Bar Association. This is the first time since the establishment of the Liberian National Bar Association in 1907 that it will be hosting such a major international conference of lawyers from Africa and other parts of the world. I want to publicly thank the chairman of the local organizing committee of the conference, Councillor J. Bima Lassana, and members of his committee for the great work that they are doing for the success of this historic conference. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to appeal to the Liberian media to remain committed to the truth in the performance of its duties. With the media's uncompromising commitment to reporting the truth under all circumstances, and the Liberian National Bar Association's commitment to protecting and promoting respect for the rule of law and human rights in Liberia, peace and democracy will be sustained in Liberia, and Liberia will experience progress and prosperity for all Liberians. I thank you.
A bigger round of applause for Councillor Gongloe. Yeah, that's my big brother and friend. He did a lot to help me as a young guy growing up in radio.